Hey everybody, welcome back to CALLOUS Draft League. I am particularly excited for this video because it is the first ever time that any of you have gotten to see this format that I cooked up. It is a team draft format. I've never gotten to narrate it before, and this is the first one other than my simulations or whoever other's simulations. A real one, not a simulation, where the matches are going to get played after the fact. This is the very first one that has ever been completed, and I am super duper excited to bring it to you. I don't want to waste too much time on the rules. I think it actually flows pretty naturally as you roll along. Just the key things to know is that you're only going to play against one opponent. So Zokuru, the A player on the red team, is only going to play against bgc0 on the blue team. Likewise, Damflame is only going to play against Dawn, and Pimmel is only going to play against ThisGuyMuks. They're literally going to play one game each, just against the one opponent after. So you are directly trying to counter draft against the other guy without fucking up your own team or your teammates' teams. Suicune and Jirachi are banned, and all the Pokemon are unique. So if somebody picks whatever, Celebi, then nobody else can pick Celebi. That is pretty much the gist here. There's no bans in this. The pick order is a little bit wonky, but once we get going, it flows pretty naturally. And even though it has a similar vibe to one-on-one draft, and here's my little one-on-one draft sheet, I assure you that the strategy of it and the metagame, if you will, I mean, there's not really a metagame yet, but the pick orders and the strategy distinctively different from what you guys are used to. So without further ado, the first ever CALLOUS team draft here in week 2 of CALLOUS Draft League. Zokuru, Damflame, and Pimmel are on the green team. They're in second place coming into this week. BGC, Dawn, and ThisGuyMuks are on the red team. They are unfortunately in last coming into this week, but it is only week 2. Hell of a lot more tournament to go. Doesn't really mean anything this early on. Also, for context, all credit and or blame for the draft on the left side all goes to Zokuru because he drafted for all 3 members of the team, whereas for the guys on the right on the red team, blue in this case, but red team in the tournament, it was more of a collaborative effort. Alrighty, enough. Here we go. The first pick actually starts out with the B player. Zokuru making this pick on behalf of Damflame. And he's going to start out with Metagross, and then they get the second pick as well, and they're going to opt for Celebi to begin their draft. So, it's now 3 picks in a row on the other side, and keep in mind, like I said, you're only playing against one specific opponent, so they're going to pick them on into the meta, into the Celebi, and then into an opponent who doesn't have anything yet. See? So, the way that they are going to do it, they're going to go Snorlax. This is into Zokuru, so into we don't know yet. They're going to opt for Skarmory into the Metagross. Makes plenty of sense to me. And then they're going to take Salamence into the Celebi, which also makes sense to me. Zokuru is now going to get a wheel pick. And yeah, I mean, then it's where it gets interesting. So on the wheel, Zokuru, Tyranitar. Now it reverses direction. So this is the opening round of picks. We were going to the right. We started here, then went here, then here, then here, then here. Now we're going to work our way back to the left. So Zokuru, Mux, Dawn, BGC, Pimmel, Damflame. Simple enough, right? So the wheel pick, he goes Titar, Fori. And there's your opening. Standard enough. But now the fun and the strategy kicks in as we see, what do you give? What do you take? What are you willing to sacrifice? All that good stuff. So, ThisGuyMuks, already having taken Salamence, staring down a Celebi. He's going to add Aerodactyl. So this makes a lot of sense to me. These are 2 Mons, the Mence and the Arrow, that both obviously can target and really, really damage the Celebi. HP Flying being the obvious thing, but Mence could also be mixed and have fire attacks. Aerodactyl could also carry HP Bug or just click Double Edge or what have you. These are 2 picks that are totally fine on a team together, generally pretty complementary, and both hit the Celebi, so it makes sense to me. And we move on to the next pick. He's going to opt for Zapdos in the middle seat. This also makes sense to me. I think that Skarm Zap, again, synergy with each other, which is important because you don't want to mess up your own team. And then also, both pretty strong against Metagross. And they also cover different sets of Metagross. For example, a strictly physical set would obviously have an issue with Skarmory. If you went with a mixed set, then Zapdos, particularly like a special defense-heavy Zapdos, could definitely handle that. So it seems like a sensible response. They are not only taking the good mons, but they're very much factoring in what the opponent already has. Seems like a sensible response so far in the B seat with Dawn into Damflame. And then finally in the A seat, staring down what he now knows to be a T-Tower and a Fortress. This pick is interesting. He's going to go with Milotic, which I don't hate. Milo doesn't generally blow me away into Fori. You can, like, hypnosis it, and I guess other than getting boomed on, Milo isn't really in any danger. But it doesn't blow me away. And then Milo's okay into Tower. Bulky Waters in general are good into Tower, but, like, especially with DD Tower, which it may or may not be. I mean, there is a Fori there, so maybe it's Pursuit. But if it is DD Tower in particular, you're one flinch or one crit away from things going very quickly down the tube. And it's very early, so we can obviously add, Hariyama, Weezing, whatever, other checks to the T-Tower, Flygon, pick your poison. Could be a million things. So, like, not the end of the world, but I don't know. Like, the Arrow makes a lot of sense to me. The Zapdos makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know about the Milo here. It's definitely possible that this was a help a teammate out pick, not wanting the Milo to get taken with the Celebi into the Salamence. That's totally possible. But just for the purpose of winning your own matchup, I don't know that the Milo is necessarily the way that I would have gone against the T-Tower and the Fori. But let's see how it plays out. So it kicks back to Pimmel now with just Celebi staring down Salamence and Aerodactyl. So this pick feels like a no-brainer, and this is something that if they wanted to, they could have denied that by taking that over the Milotic. But the Swampert into the Mence and the Arrow feels automatic, not to mention that Celebi and Swampert, very complementary defensive pairing, has been used in OU together forever, and there's no reason that it wouldn't be good here as well. I can't think of anything else that I would rather take in that seat. I think anything other than Swampert there is probably just wrong. So, feels like a no-brainer pick. No qualms there. And then finally in the B matchup against Skarmory and Zapdos, he's going to opt for Starmie, which is fine. You can make an argument for Doll there. It is the better spinner generally against Zapdos, but obviously Starmie is better against Skarm. And Starmie definitely has some play against Zapdos. Remember, it can have T-Wave, Ice Beam, whatever. You know that the Zapdos is there, so you're going to customize accordingly. It's just a solid start all the way around, as it always is going to be in this format, especially when there's no bans. Everybody just has good bonds. The real meat and potatoes of the format comes toward the middle and the end when things start to take twists and turns. The only potentially confusing thing now is just the pick orders. We're now actually going to jump all the way, and I know that we're here, I know it's confusing, but we're going to jump all the way over to Dawn, and then we're going to work our way left and then right. So basically, the first round and the third round are identical, and the second round and the fourth round are identical. So you swing all the way right and then swing all the way back left. Second round, you go all the way left, all the way back right. Third round, all the way right, all the way left. Fourth round, all the way left, all the way right. Sounds confusing. Bear with me. Okay, so starting with Dawn here, 2B. He's looking at Metagross and Starmie here. This pick, I'm not sure. Not sure. He's going to go for Registeel. I don't know. I don't hate it, but like I don't know, it just doesn't like stand out to me against Metagross and Starmie. It's not bad. It's a good Pokemon without a doubt. Is that really the best thing to take here? Does it even beat Metagross or Starmie one-on-one? I don't know. I mean, he certainly... All the teams are going to want Rock Resist. Swampert already got grabbed. His teammate, because they're picking in sequence, and I'm sure they'd coordinated this, his teammate's about to take Claydol, which we'll talk about in a moment, but that takes another Rock Resist out of play. I guess he really wanted to secure a Rock Resist early on and not be left without, but I don't know. I don't know that I love the Registeel pick. It's a good mon. I don't hate it. The pick doesn't offend me. I wonder if that was optimal. Like I said, against Meta and Starmie, it doesn't stand out to me. It feels like taking a generically good mon rather than taking what's good into what your opponent has, which isn't the way that I approach the format, but here we are. Moving over to the Claydol pick. Yeah, I guess. Claydol, I think, generally loses to Fori pretty badly. I mean, it very well may end up being HP Fire Claydol, given the specifics of the matchup, but generally in the 1v1, Fori just sits on Claydol forever with nothing to fear and can just trash it with HP Bugs. I guess another reason to take Claydol here, because you do need a spinner into Fori, of course, but the other thing is that it's good against Tar, so I think the logic here is it's good against Tar, in theory anyway, some Tars, and it's a spinner, so I guess that's why they might be trying to build some, like, balancy, Magdoll kind of thing here. I don't hate the Claydol pick, but, like, Zokuru has fewer Pokemon than BGC, and right now, before we even go on, even though it's 2 Pokemon to 3, I like Zokuru's end of the matchup better, which is kind of weird. Like, Milo isn't great into Tar, Lax isn't great into Tar, Doll isn't great into Fori. Like, even though BGC has more Pokemon, I feel like Zokuru's mons match up better, and that's before he even adds something additional. So I don't know, this matchup so far, and it's very early, things can change, but so far it's shaping up to where I think I like Zokuru's end of this specific matchup, but we'll see how it plays out. So continuing to move to the left, the next pick belongs to Pimmel here. Again, these are all being picked by Zokuru, but it's going to be Pimmel who ultimately plays the match against ThisGuyMuks. And he's going to grab Gengar here. Sure. I don't know that it like does anything special with Celebi and Swampert, nor do I know if it like does anything special against Mence or Arrow, but certainly, because remember, again, they're picking 1, 2, 3 in sequence, and I'll just go ahead and fill those in to maybe give a little bit more context. They went with Gengar, Regice, and Blissey here to give context. So yeah, it could be that with taking the Regice and the Blissey, by removing these special walls, and of course Lax is already taken as is Registeel, they have plopped this Gengar into the only opponent that doesn't currently have a special wall. He can't take Blissey, can't take Regice, can't take Lax, can't take Registeel, so maybe Gengar is a threat into this opponent who now is going to have to find another answer. As far as being matchup specific, you can EV Gar to always survive anything that Mence is going to throw at it, unless you get really funky and Mence runs like HP Ghost or something. But under remotely normal circumstances, you can make it always survive a +1 HP flying, for example. And then, of course, one hit KO back with Ice Punch. So something like that could be an option. It also, I don't know that Gengar is good against Aerodactyl, but it does obviously blank both Double Edge and EQ. It also makes the idea of going HP Bug into Celebi a lot worse when obviously Gengar is going to resist that, so maybe you go HP Flying now instead. Gar just seems generically good. It doesn't blow me away in the matchup, but it's not terrible in the matchup either, but it's definitely one of the overall most powerful Pokemon remaining, and I can understand why he took that there, especially when they're going double special wall here, and all in one fell swoop, cutting off good special wall options from Mux. And I'm curious if he ends up down the road taking like an Umbreon or something now, since he both wants to deal with the Gar and needs a special wall, especially if Celebi ends up going like Super Celebi or something. A special wall definitely going to be needed for the 2C team here of ThisGuyMuks. Moving over to Damflame, I like the Regice pick. It threatens both halves of Skarm and Zapdos. It's not great into Registeel, but like it's not threatened either, especially if it's just like rest Regice, then it really doesn't have anything to fear from Registeel. He wants to get a special wall, as we've discussed. Want to make sure all the teams have that, so Celebi, Regice, Blissey can act as the special wall on all these teams. make sure you check those boxes. And 2 of these teams have a rock resist as well. So as far as building balanced teams that check the basic boxes and generally make sense, I think that these guys are off to a good start. I don't mind the Regice pick here at all, especially given the context of what the teammates took. Blissey, super common pairing with Fori. It's like almost automatic in OU on Fori teams. So it makes plenty of sense to me here. It can sit in on the Milo all day, other than being boomed on. It doesn't really have anything to fear from the doll either. No, it's not great into Lax, but Fori and Tower fighting against Lax, and if you're truly worried about it, he could pick up any number of things. A Weezing, a Leech Seeder, a Hariyama, whatever, down the line to help with that particular Pokemon. So all the way across the board, totally understand the picks made by this team, and don't really object to any of them. So now it swings over to ThisGuyMuks. Make sure I'm following along here. There we go. Okay, wow. Alright, he's going to go with Glalie and Raikou. That is not what I thought he would do here. Glalie Raikou for ThisGuyMuks. This is into the Celebi Swampert Gengar. I don't hate that. The weird thing to me about taking Raikou or just like any like hidden power based Pokemon, specifically hidden power electrics, because obviously the base electric type is not good against Celebi or Swampert, is that you can only have one or the other. If you're HP Grass, then you hit Swampert obviously, but you do Dick to Celebi. If you're HP Ice, other way around. Now there's ways around that. Like, it can just be like CM Crunch, HP Grass, Thunderbolt, or something like that. So you hit, like, CM Crunch Raikou, for example, is obviously going to hit the Celebi and the Gengar, and then you have the HP Grass for Swampert. So, like, you could build it to hit all 3 of these mons super effectively, so I could see the logic on the Raikou there. Mux obviously sees this as being a more aggressive team and sees himself as the aggro in the matchup, which, yeah, I agree with. Glalie, the more you look at it on paper, makes sense as well. Ice type, obviously a threat to Celebi. Defensively, again, pending some weird, funky set, can sit in pretty safely on anything that Swampert wants to throw at it. You can outspeed it, Toxic it, Ice Beam it, whatever you got to do. It takes Gengar hits relatively well. Also, Gengar might run Fire Punch, but right now Glalie is the only reason to run Fire Punch in that matchup. And it can otherwise handle Gar hits reasonably well also. So these picks were not what I was expecting, but the more you look at it, the more, you know what, this kind of makes sense. Okay, I get it. So Mux has pretty clearly defined that he's not going to be stalling here. It's pretty clearly an aggressive team, and we'll see how Zoc and co decide to respond to that. So we now swing it back the other way. A lot of back and forth here. So it's now going to be on Zokuru, 3 picks in a row, because we're moving to the right now for this team again. And this is what they ended up doing. I'll just fill them all in at once, because like I said, I think the context, I think it matters. I think what your teammates take is pretty relevant here. So this is the order. Hariyama, Moltres, Regirock, respectively. Let's go over these picks one at a time. So, Hariyama. Perfect, I think. Gives him a little extra lax help. Zokuru clearly building a stall team here, which Hariyama fits very organically on. One of the issues with what BGC has going on here, and to be very clear, out of the matchups as they sit right now, I think the most lopsided one is Zokuru over BGC, completely taking player skill out of it, just Mons against Mons. I think the least close matchup is in the A seat. I heavily favor Zokuru's position. But one of the problems with BGC's team right now is that it's just too do-nothing. It's just too passive. Snorlax can be a win con, but like obviously Zokuru is going to have a plethora of resistance here. Titarfori, Hariyama very well might add Weezing, Leech Seeder, what have you, down the road. So I think the Lax is going to have a difficult time winning. And then the Milo and the Doll are very passive and are not win conditions. The overall team is slow and passive. Hariyama, very much what you want in that kind of matchup. Has the bulk to survive. Knockoff is a real bitch if we end up slow on slow or stall on stall.
then Knockoff very well could be the X factor in that kind of matchup. Zokuru making it pretty clear that he's building a stallier team. It seems really lopsided right now. I really do not think that BGC's team plays very well into Zokuru's team as it fits, and I think Hariyama is a fantastic pick, the perfect pick for the matchup. Moltres here, self-explanatory, double steal on the other side, obviously want fire. Pick of the litter between Moltres and Charizard, I think both would be fine. Moltres is good. Currently Dawn has absolutely no switch into that whatsoever. Now he's going to need one. And then Regirock, that, yeah, again, perfect drafting, I think. We have 3 rock weaknesses, Salamence, Aerodactyl, Glalie, and 0 rock resists on the other side. Not to mention Thunder Wave against a team that is this aggressive and this reliant on pressure. Thunder Wave is a bitch, so I think Regirock, again, is the perfect pick in this situation. Definitely like this round. Perfect 1, 2, 3 as far as I'm concerned. Zokuru demonstrating once again, just as with the other format, that he just gets it. He clearly understands the format. So, rounding up this, and this is probably the kind of pick that BGC needs to make if he, even a little bit wants to try to salvage this, because I think he's really far behind. He's going to grab Medicham here, and then Dawn is going to grab Vaporeon. These both feel like on the back foot necessity picks, but nevertheless, these are good picks, even though I feel like they're both kind of taking them in like a, oh shit, I got to fix this kind of way. So Medicham does 2 things. It's a fighter, first of all, against the guy who's going to have T-Tower and Blissey, so obviously fighting attackers are good, but crucially, you need ways to deal damage. You need ways to win. Your team, BGC, is too fat and too slow and doesn't have enough ways to actually kill stuff. So something like this is exactly what you need. You need something that outspeeds the whole damn team, as it does, and something that can meaningfully, truly do damage, which obviously Medicham can do. So that is exactly what he needs in the matchup, and I hope he doesn't stop it there. I hope he continues to take aggressive mons and understand that he's going to need ways to punch through Zokuru's defenses. And then the Vaporeon is clearly a reactionary pick to the Moltres, which otherwise, pre-Vaporeon, absolutely cooks him. I don't know that he's out of the woods. Vaporeon still needs to worry about Toxic or Will-O-Wisp or whatever from the Moltres, and possibly HP Grass or something, but he absolutely needs something like this to begin dealing with the Moltres, so that pick very much a necessity as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so now we are going to jump over to 1B, which is where we started, and we're basically going to have a repeat pick order-wise of round 1. We're going to start here, and then we're going to move over to the right, and it's going to snake back to the left. Perhaps you guys are picking up the pattern. So, starting here, the picks are as follows. I'm going to go Cloyster, and then also Houndoom. Interesting, for sure. So, let's begin with the Cloyster pick. I don't know that it blows my mind against Skarmzap, but he is at least taking a spiker into someone who currently doesn't have a spinner. What I don't love about this pick is that he's taking a 3rd electric weakness when he has not even, never mind an immunity, but not even an electric resistance. Now, granted, if you want to count Regice as an electric resistance, sure, kind of, mostly. But I still wonder, because it's not even a hypothetical electric either. It's into a guy that already has Zapdos. So I kind of wonder if there was something better than Cloyster here. I don't think I love this pick. If he just needs a spinner later, you can just grab whatever. Grab Donphan, grab Tentacruel, whatever. He might specifically want spikes. I don't know that he needs spikes, but obviously good to have, especially with things like Moltres. But I question if you take the 3rd electric weakness here into a guy who already has the Zapdos. So I haven't disagreed with too many picks from this team. I think Zoc has been drafting well, but I'm not sure about the Cloyster. I don't think that's what I would have taken in that position. Over to this pick, the Houndoom is also interesting. This might be somewhat defensive. He might be afraid that his opponent might take Houndoom because it is quite good against Celebi and Gengar, so that might be an emergency. Let me take this so you don't. If that's the thought process, then fine. But the Houndoom does not blow me away in the matchup. It does not win 1v1 against Raikou, as Raikou sits there and CMs up, and Raikou's faster. Yes, it will toast the Glalie, and Houndoom certainly does not win 1v1 against any kind of remotely physical Salamence or against Aerodactyl. So this pick does not make a lot of sense in the matchup to me. I would have to believe that this is a defensive-oriented pick, because as the Celebi and Gengar player, very much does not want to play against Houndoom. That's what I think is happening here. But underwhelmed by these two picks. I think the Houndoom is probably not going to get played. Cloyster may or may not get played, but I question the pick into the Zapdos. Moving over here, they have 3 and a row, and the B pick in particular really exasperates what I was just discussing, but let's just do them all. So we're going to go with Dragonite, Jolteon, yikes, and Machamp. So the Dragonite, again, looking for something that can deal damage, looking for something aggressive. Unlike something like Gyarados here, which is another Dragon Dance option, Dragonite can learn Focus Punch, which very well might be relevant in the matchup. As it sits right now, it could have some weird set like, I don't know, Focus Punch, HP Flying, Flamethrower. And that set would hit every single one of these things from Zokuru and make it difficult. So Zok probably is going to want to pick up some kind of bulky water or a P2 or some bullshit to deal with the Dragonite, because I do think it's a diverse threat that can punch through his defenses. So again, I think this is the right kind of pick that BGC needs with his very passive start to turn it around, get a little more aggressive, and punch through. Jolteon, yeah, kind of a no-brainer given what was already taken, right? Already didn't like the Cloyster, already thought he was a little sketchy against Electrics. Enter Jolteon. Now, is the Jolteon largely walled by the Regice? Yes. Same thing with the Zapdos, but they both have Baton Pass. Stat Pass is legal in this format, unlike in the individual format. And then, even if they weren't passing stats, they could pass subs, Jolteon could pass Wish, what have you. Regice is good against the two Electrics, but I don't know that it's a be-all, end-all, shut-down answer. What Dawn really needs to complete the team is something that he can like pass substitutes to that can just punch through. Some aggressive physical mon that can really put Damflame on the back foot. But I certainly like the Jolteon pick when he's added the third electric weakness. And this matchup, I think, is starting to shift the other way around. And I think I'm starting to favor Dawn's position over Damflame. Again, taking player skill out of it, just Pokemon against Pokemon. I think I'm starting to like Team 2's side of that matchup. ThisGuyMuks taking Machamp, that's into Pimmel. Sure, I mean, there's Regirock on the other side, that's not only a rock user, so he needs a rock resist, but also weak to fighting. And I guess it's like okay into the other stuff. I mean, again, I don't think the Houndoom is going to get played, so the fact that it's super effective against the Houndoom, and maybe that was or was not, I don't know. Don't know if that was a factor in his decision, but I don't think it's going to be relevant because I don't think the Houndoom is going to get played. As far as these other Mons, Celebi pretty much kicks the crap out of Machamp. Gengar usually gets the better end, but Machamp can obviously carry HP Ghost. Got to be careful about Will-O-Wisping it, for example, because of Guts. It's not perfect, but usually Gar's okay in that matchup. And then Champ on Swampert is kind of a wash. Champ probably has a slight advantage, but kind of a neutral matchup. I certainly agree that he needs a rock resist, given the 3 rock weaknesses and no resist, and the Regirock on the other side. I don't know if it would have been this particular rock resist. I may have looked at Flygon or Donphan or something instead, but I think he's also keeping with the aggressive theme. Maybe he didn't want something like Donphan that he views as doesn't hit hard enough, too slow, whatever. So here we are. I guess it's going to be Machamp. I could take or leave that pick. Don't love it, don't hate it. Dragonite and Jolteon, definitely on board with that. So it is now going to be Zokuru on the wheel. interesting picks coming here. He's going to go Sableye, his absolute fucking beloved, and Arcanine. I don't know. The Sableye I like more of the two. It's generally good against Lax and forces it to run weird sets. It also wins 1v1 against Milotic. It's a potential second knockoff user, so Zokuru is like really, really hard committing to the stall if that weren't already apparent. And it's good against Doll as well, so like I could see the merit of the Sableye, but it doesn't really deal with the core threats, the Medicham and the Dragonite. And the Arcanine pick is very puzzling to me. I think I don't like the Arcanine pick. I think I really would have preferred some kind of bulky water there, whether it's Slowbro or Lapras or whoever you want. But Arcanine does not beat Milotic. Arcanine does not beat Snorlax. Arcanine can intimidate the Medicham, but still doesn't really want to come in on Rock Slides, Brick Breaks, Focus Punches, what have you. And I don't know that Arcanine really beats Dragonite either, whether it's an EQ set or Dragonite learns Surf, or if Dragonite hides behind a sub and then starts focus punching. I don't know. I love me some Arcanine, especially in the other format, but I think what he really wanted here was a bulky water. I could see taking Gyarados as well if you want an Intimidator. It certainly pans out better against both Medicham and Milotic than Arcanine would. I don't know about that pick. The Sableye, you can get me there. I don't know about the Arcanine, and as much as I liked Zokuru's position in this matchup before, I don't feel like he's really addressing the Medicham and the Dragonite properly, and I feel like maybe it's starting to shift a little bit. The other problem is that Zokuru is going to have a hard time actually winning. He can have it be like DD Tower or something, but just like BGC was possibly a little bit too passive before, I think that might be shifting the other way, and now Zokuru might be too passive. He's going double knockoff, I guess, and really trying to grind him out, but I don't know that he's done enough to address the Medicham and the Dragonite. So flipping it back now in the other direction, so it's a triple pick now for the blue team over here. It's going to be, we'll just do all three. It's going to be Dugtrio, Heracross, and Gyarados. So again, we'll take these one at a time, starting with the Dugtrio pick. Man, it might be something of a protection pick with his own Raikou, but I think he's getting too thrown off with both the Machamp and the Dugtrio. I think this Houndoom is like really fucking with his head. I don't think the Houndoom is actually going to get played. The Dugtrio looks a lot better when you think you're against the Houndoom on the other side, but I don't think he's going to be against the Houndoom on the other side. And if you pretend the Houndoom isn't there, if you take that out, all of a sudden the Dugtrio looks a lot worse. It doesn't actually one-hit KO Regirock, despite the fact that it's got the super effective stab EQ and you just die back to boom or counter or whatever. Obviously, it's not trapping Gengar. It can kill Celebi, but can also super duper not kill Celebi and then be killed by Celebi. And it's not good against the Pert either. So if you're just taking the Dugtrio for the sake of protecting your Raikou and also protecting the Heracross that you just took, fine. You can get me there if it's a protection pick. As far as actually playing the Dugtrio, I don't know that you should run it, to be honest with you. Like I said, I really don't think the Houndoom is going to be there. But we'll see how it plays out. They did just take Hera, so that is one good reason to consider Dugtrio. But I don't know that you should run the Dugtrio. Doesn't seem amazing to me in the matchup. Heracross, on the other hand, exactly the kind of Pokemon that I was talking about. If you're going to go to Regice every time you see me go to one of my electrics, that's fine. I'm going to immediately baton pass out, and you're going to be staring down a Heracross, and life is going to be difficult. I really think this matchup has started to heavily lean in favor of Dawn. I think he's very well set up, and I think if he controls tempo remotely well, which he's super capable of doing with his 3 baton passers and his generally fast team and his double electric into a team that has no answer for them, I really like Dawn's position in this matchup, and the Heracross, like I said, is the exact kind of thing that he needed. And I like this for BGC as well. Gyarados, same deal. I don't know why the Arcanine was taken, but obviously the Gyarados is good into it, and it's yet another aggressive Mon that Zok is going to have to deal with. So BGC corrected the problems, in my opinion, of his early draft where it was too passive by taking 3 aggressive Mons in a row, Medicham, 2 potential Dragon Dancers, one of which could be a very good mixed breaker. I think that is the exact kind of thing that he needs to bring this back. And I think I like the blue team over here. And this says, oh, I just noticed now it says 1A. It's supposed to say 2A. Sorry for the confusion. But I think Team 2 here, I think I like BGC's side of the matchup in the A seat. And I think I like Dawn's side of the matchup in the B seat. Not clear yet on the C seat. It depends on what Pimmel takes here. But I think as much as I liked the early draft for Team Zokuru, I think things have started to possibly shift the other way, and I like the guys on the right a little bit better at this moment in time. So as far as Pimmel, we're going to go Flygon here, and then his teammate next door is going to take Weezing. So starting with the Flygon, sure, it does give him another rock resist into the Aerodactyl and the Salamence. I don't think Flygon is an incredible check into either of those Pokemon, because Mence is obviously just going to go +1 HP flying. It hurts. Aerodactyl can just click Double Edge. It hurts. Now, granted, Aerodactyl's best move now is probably Hidden Power Flying. Anything else, he's got the combo defenses to deal with. EQ was bad in this matchup to begin with. EQ is now, like, dreadful into Pimmel. But Double Edge, not great into Regirock or Gengar, even though you want to hit Flygon or Swampert with it. And then HP Flying is the move that I think you should make. And then Rock Slide, same shit. Not great into Flygon, not great into Swampert, not great into Regirock. Even though, obviously, it would hit Gaur pretty good. I think HP Flying is probably going to get spammed the most when it comes to the Aerodactyl. The other thing the Flygon does is it really, really fucks up Raikou's life. You can't have it all. You can't have Crunch and Thunderbolt and HP Ice and HP Grass and Calm Mind and Sub. You can't have it all. So it's going to make him pick and choose. Regardless, I mean, the set that I said before wouldn't necessarily do it anymore. If he were Calm Mind, Thunderbolt, HP Grass, Crunch, he wouldn't be very good against the Flygon. Your best bet against the Flygon would be to non-stab Crunch it, which just isn't that damn exciting. So at least into the Raikou, I can understand the Flygon pick. I would like it a lot more if he had Spikes. Pimmel's team, I think, kind of lacks cohesion, whereas I think Muks' team all makes sense together and has a pretty cohesive and aggressive game plan. I think I might like, on the right, I think I might like all 3 of their matchups, honestly, at this moment. But we do still have some picks to go, and they can really, really matter. As far as the Weezing here, that's simply a pick into the Heracross. The Weezing doesn't blow me away into the double electric, and he still has failed to address that weakness over and over again. It's not like Weezing wants to switch into Stab Thunderbolt. He does not take that very well at all. But at least it addresses the Heracross. I don't know, man. I think there might just be too many threats on the other side and not enough good answers is the way that I perceive it as of now. So we jump over to the other round, the final round of picks. We jump over to 2B again, and then we make our way to the left. And we do this loop for the final time. Left, snake it back right, and then our draft is over. So going to do the picks together as we've been doing. It's going to be Charizard and Dusclops here. Okay, the Charizard. Yeah, it seems okay. I mean, it hits the Metagross and the Regice super effectively. It's not good into Starmie Moltres, but it's reasonable against the Cloyster and the Weezing as well. I don't know that that's that really changes anything. I think the core 6 that he has is probably just going to be the team, but maybe the Zard gives him something to think about, and certainly if it induces Dam to take and then play a bulky water, like if that somehow induces like, oh fuck, I better take Slowbro now, that probably plays right into Dawn's hands with a double electric, so there might be some element of that with the pick, trying to threaten the Zard and say, oh, you need a water now, you better take a water, when in actuality he doesn't even bring the Zard and waters are bad in the matchup. It very well could be something like that. I don't know if the Zard is going to get played. It very well could, but I think he had the right idea with the opening 6. Though, to be fair, if he wanted to get real cute, he could ultimately end up cutting, like, the Skarm or the Registeel or something and just go turbo aggro, but I think the more likely scenario is that it's just the 6 that he took originally. Now, Dusclops into Zokuru. I don't really get that one. You don't have spikes that you're trying to keep down. There's not like a Lax or an Ursaring or a Tauros or some like hard-hitting normal attacker on the other side. I don't know what the Dusclops really does in this matchup. It's like super duper passive. It doesn't beat the knockoff guys. It plays right into Zoc's drag the game up, stally game plan. I don't think the Dusclops is all that good in the matchup, and I don't think it's going to get played. So I know I didn't talk about that pick very much, but I'm pretty much ready to move on from it. I really don't think it's going to end up having much of an impact. So next round of picks, we have Blastoise, Venusaur, and Armaldo. Okay, the Blastoise. It's interesting. It's a spinner into Glalie, first of all, and this dude's got no ghosts, so a reliable spinner. It's also a bulky water against the Salamence and the Aerodactyl, so Pimmel's team is not cohesive. It is all over the place, and it does not look anything close to a proper team, but it's pretty counter-heavy on the other side. I think we very well might see all of Celebi, Swampert, Flygon, Blastoise, all of which, like, I think the Houndoom gets cut. I think the team might be Celebi, Swampert, Gengar, Regirock, Flygon, Blastoise, which is pretty imbalanced and weird, but boy, does that give Salamence and Aerodactyl a hard fucking time. So as weird as the team is, it's pretty good into what's on the other side. This is the most intriguing matchup for me, because I think the objective on paper better team is clearly with Mux, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which team would be better on ladder or against an open field or in a tournament. That's irrelevant here. You only have to beat the one guy. And my opinion on this matchup is starting to change. Maybe Pimmel's squad is really, really well set up against Mux's squad, even though Mux has the, quote, better team on paper. The Blastoise, I think, will get played and should get played. Like I said, I think of the teams as it is. Who knows what the last picks will be. But as it sits, I think Houndoom gets the boot, and the Blastoise will get played. As far as this Venusaur pick, yeah, you have to. You need an electric resist. You desperately need an electric resist. I don't know if that's like the world's greatest electric resist, but it's slim fucking pickings at this point. You gotta take what's there. Venusaur definitely helps. I don't know if it's enough, but it's a starting point. And then Zokuru is just determined to take every single user of the move knockoff to exist. He's got the Hariyama. He's got the Sableye. He's got the Armaldo. The Armaldo is often picked into Lax. Honestly, I think, and this might sound insane, it depends on what his last pick is, I guess, I don't think it's the craziest idea on the planet for BGC to just not play the Snorlax. I am dead serious. I think the Lax is so bad and so useless in this matchup. You'd be bringing Lax into Titar, Hariyama, Sableye, Armaldo. I think that Lax is going to do absolute dick all. It can't even self-destruct because it's going to hit fucking Armaldo or Sableye or Fortress when it booms. I truly, something to think about. These matches have not happened. This draft just finished today, but I would very, very seriously consider just not bringing the lack. Zokuru has so fucking loaded up against it. I would really, truly consider not bringing it. That being said, I still don't think that Zokuru has properly addressed the Medicham and the Dragonite. And that's kind of a problem at this stage of the draft. So the wheel pick here for ThisGuyMuks, he's going to grab Magneton, interesting, and Ludicolo. There's no way, right? Magneton into this team, Magneton into Celebi, Swampert, Flygon. There's no way. The Magneton is terrible in this matchup. That's gotta be as simple as this. It's gotta just be a protection pick for his teammate Skarmory. It has to be. There's no way in hell that he's gonna actually run the Magneton into a guy who has no steals that he can trap and all of Flygon, Swampert, Celebi. There's no chance. Absolutely no chance. That's gotta just be a protection pick. There's absolutely no effing way that he brings that. Ludicolo, huh? Sure, I mean, anything with grass plus water coverage or grass plus ice coverage could be threatening here. Yeah, I mean, the grass hits the Blastoise, the Regirock, the Swampert. Ice hits Flygon, Celebi. Not a lot of things are like even a little bit good at having grass plus ice. Ludicolo is one of them. Yeah, I don't think it's wild that the Dugtrio and the Magneton are both on the bench and that the team is the first 5 plus the Ludicolo. I could see that. Given the way this is played out, I didn't think the Doug was great to begin with, but if you pretend the Houndoom is there, then truly the Dugtrio is putrid in the matchup, and there's no way that he's bringing the Magneton. So if I were to predict the team for ThisGuyMuks, I think that Dugtrio and Magneton sit on the bench and the Ludicolo does, in fact, end up getting played. So now the triple pick for Team 1 to wrap up their draft. Here we go. Sceptile, Misdreavus, Porygon 2. The Sceptile is just another layer of fuck you Snorlax. I really, truly, if I'm BGC, I know it was his first pick, I would really, truly, and not even consider at this point, I think I would not bring the Snorlax, and that is a very difficult thing to do, and he might not be able to find the discipline to do that, but it just seems so bad in the matchup. Into Tar, into Sableye, into Armaldo, into Hariyama, into Leech Seeder. Lax is on the bench for me. The Sceptile's fine. As a grass, it threatens my Milotic and Claydol. It can have like HP Ice or something for Dragonite. It can randomly have HP Flying or some bullshit for Medicham, or just hit it with Leaf Blades, Pataya, Leaf Blade, whatever. But Zokuru's picks are over, and I just don't think he ever adequately addressed the Medicham and the Dragonite problem. And we'll talk predictions in a minute, but I'm very surprised that at no point did Zokuru feel like he should take a Slowbro, a Lapras, whatever, something to deal with the Dragonite. I mean, obviously Lapras wouldn't deal with Medicham, but like Slowbro or somebody to that effect, but he just never felt the need. In the B matchup, the Misdreavus, I don't think really changes anything. As far as being a normal immune, irrelevant. There's nothing like that on the other side. As far as being a spin blocker, irrelevant. There is no spinner on the other side. The Misdreavus doesn't stand out to me. I don't think it'll get played. The Porygon 2, sure. I mean, he's taking it into Dugtrio, but I don't think the Dugtrio is going to get played. It could be used as a bulky water. It's good against Salamence and Aerodactyl, so I could see it in that regard. I can even maybe see the Gengar getting cut. I could see the team being Celebi, Swampert, Regirock, Flygon, Blastoise, P2, and just being full bulk, full counter to what you're doing. I don't know how it wins. Like I said, this team has no cohesion whatsoever, but it does have a lot of counterplay into what his opponent drafted. So for me, the C matchup is the most fascinating one. Porygon 2, I think, has a shot of getting played, as does the Sceptile. I don't think the Mischievous gets played, and I don't know if the Porygon 2 for its traceability is all that exciting, but it is still a bulky water, air quotes, against a lot of the team. That being said, he already has a Swampert and a Blastoise. Does he need 3 bulky waters? Maybe. Porygon 2's got a shot. And finally, the last 2 picks of the draft. Nidoking. Sure. And Tentacruel for Dawn. Nidoking, huh? Not a poke that I've ever had any success with or a big fan of. Maybe this is the kind of team that you want random Mixed Breaker against. Nidoking. I don't think it's going to end up getting played, but I guess the possibility of just like weird coverage sets, like it just having like EQ, flamethrower coverage for Armaldo and just kind of being like a do-it-all threat, I guess, but I don't think the Nidoking is going to get played. I don't want to spend too much time on it. And then the Tentacruel, I think, is just a last-minute spinner against an opponent who does, in fact, have spikes in Cloyster. Whether or not he brings the spikes, I don't know. Cloyster seems pretty bad in the matchup, honestly, but there is some insurance if you are concerned about the opponent spiking up on you. And this is it. That is the completed draft. So this would be a wonderful time to hop in the comments and let me know what you think, who won this draft, who you like in each matchup. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, yada yada. Let's go over the matchups here. A against A, Zokuru against BGC. Pokemon on Pokemon, it's interesting. They both have counterplay against each other. I think the Claydol is not going to be good. I think the Snorlax is like so bad that you don't even bring it. I think that the Dragonite, the Medicham, and to a lesser extent the Gyarados are all very legitimate threats here. And in the case of the Medicham and the Dragonite, I think Zokuru, I guess, overestimates his own ability to deal with them, but I don't feel like he ever properly addressed those issues. I also feel like Zokuru lacks win conditions. I think the plan is to just milk Fori, milk knockoff, basically just play TSS, basically just grind it out. If the players were exactly equal on skill, I would give the advantage to BGC. I don't know how good or not good BGC is as a player. Never heard of him as of the start of this tournament. I've only ever watched him play one game of Pokemon in my life, which is his game last week. So that doesn't mean that he's bad. It just means that I don't know. I guess because I really believe in him as a player and because I really think that he understands the format on a deep level, I guess I'm going to predict Zokuru to win. But like I said, if the players were exactly equal, I think I like BGC's end a little bit better. We'll see, but I'll predict reluctantly Zokuru to win that matchup. Don't feel incredible about that prediction, but he's yet to lose in one of my draft formats, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt. In the B matchup, Damflame against Dawn. I got to give it to Dawn. I do. Not only do I like Dawn's end of it better, Pokemon for Pokemon, I think the electrics were just never properly addressed. The Venusaur helps, but it just isn't enough. And both of those electrics will just carry HP Ice, so it doesn't even really solve the problem. And I believe that Dawn is a better player. Dawn is like a 1700 ladder player. Damflame, no disrespect, isn't a 16 or 1700 ladder player. That's all I'm saying. Not saying he's bad. Just don't think he's as good as Dawn. I think better player with a better team. Simple as that. There are some threats. I think, Offstar could be very good in the matchup, especially if something happens to Registeel. I think Offstar could be a real issue. Psychic hits some of this stuff. Hydro Pump, T-Bolt on the Vaporeon or the Charizard or the Tentacruel, whatever. Offstar could be good. But overall, I think the faster team and the team with the better matchup. The Electrics, it's killing me. Damflame just never addressed it. I got to give the edge to Dawn in this matchup. And then finally moving over to C. C is the most fascinating for me because, like I said, the better, like, proper team, normal team, kind of normal team, whatever, clearly belongs to Mux on the right. But Pimmel just, like, he's got so much that is good into what Mux has. He could roll up potentially with triple bulky water in Swampert, Blastoise, P2, and that's with Celebi, Regirock, Flygon, or Gengar, any of those. One of them's got to get cut. Houndoom's not going to get played, but any of those guys as a supporting cast in the back. And that seems very challenging, in my mind, for Salamence, Aerodactyl, Raikou to break through. Player-wise, again, Pimmel, kind of like a BGC to me. Not saying he's bad, I just don't know. He's a nice dude. I know him as a guy that I've enjoyed my conversations with and who has donated to my tournaments, which I appreciate, but I have no clue how good or not good he is as a player, so it's hard for me to make a prediction. Mux, I do think, is a good player. Not like a top, should be in CALLOUS Invitational kind of player, but a good player. If it were a wash, play skill-wise, as weird as it is, because, like, Mux's team should be better on paper, I think I actually give the advantage in this matchup to Pimmel based on the way that the teams line up. His team is really weird, very much lacks cohesion, but the special offense, like, nothing really switches into Gar unless you go, like, special defense bulk Raikou or something. Same thing, like Super Celebi, like you could check it offensively with Salamence or Arrow or whatever, but nothing really switches into it. And Pimmel just has all the defensive tools with the double ground, the triple bulky water. He's got all the defensive tools to slow down the offensive Mux. Also, Regirock with T-Wave and Porygon 2 potentially with T-Wave, kind of a bitch. What switches into that? Certainly not the Mence, the Arrow. Glalie doesn't love it. Machamp can, I guess, but then it'd be like slow and might full para and might miss cross chops. I mean, you do activate Guts, I guess, but I don't love getting the Machamp hit with T-Wave. I mean, Dugtrio can come in T-Wave, I guess, but I think the Dugtrio is heinously bad in the matchup. And then there's the Magneton, which you're not going to bring that either. So, yeah, I'm going to give the advantage in this matchup to Pimmel. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I went back and forth. I guess I was pretty swingy. I thought I liked the left better. Then I thought I liked the right better. When I looked at it one at a time, matchup for matchup, I guess my overall prediction is a 2-1 victory in this draft for the team on the left. I don't feel tremendously confident in any of the predictions. I think the one I feel the most confident about is Dawn winning over Damflame. But this is a fascinating format, and it's so new. Who the hell knows? As always, I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments. And there's definitely going to be more of this format coming up. So hope you guys enjoyed it, like I said, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.